สวัสดีครับตอนนี้อาจารย์ปราดกับแก้วนะคะก็อยู่กันที่กรุงลอนดอนประเทศอังกฤษนะคะพาเพื่อนๆพี่ๆน้องๆมาชมกันว่าที่นี่เนี่ยเขามีกิจกรรมอะไรบ้างที่เกี่ยวกับดนตรีถ้าคุณเป็นนักดนตรีคุณจะมาทำอะไรที่อังกฤษบ้างตอนนี้คิดว่าจะมาทำอะไรกันบ้างคะ
โอเคก็เราจะพาไปดูสตูดิโออันดับหนึ่งของอังกฤษ
ชื่อ Abbey Road Studio ค่ะครับตอนนี้เราก็ทำเลยค่ะ
ครับ
ค่ะตอนนี้แก้วกับอาจารย์ปราดก็อยู่กันที่ Abbey Studio นะคะบน Abbey Road ค่ะที่ลอนดอนอังกฤษนะคะก็อยากให้อาจารย์ปราดพูดนิดนึงว่าตอนนี้เรายืนอยู่ที่เนี่ย Abbey Road ก็มีความสำคัญยังไง
คือ Abbey Road Abbey Studio เนี่ยนะครับเป็นสตูดิโอที่ศิลปินร็อกมากมายเลยอัดนะครับที่ดังๆมากๆเลยก็คือ The Beatles นะครับ
ซึ่ง The Beatles เนี่ยอัดในห้องนี้เลย
คือห้องที่เรายืนอยู่เนี่ยเรียกว่า Studio 2สตูดิโอ2นะครับแล้วเป็นห้องที่ศิลปินดังๆจะใช้ห้องนี้เป็นหลักนะครับเพราะว่าอาจจะเหมาะกับวงร็อกเสียงกำลังดีอะไรในจุดนั้นนะครับแล้วก็ยังมี Pink Floyd ยังมีศิลปินอังกฤษมากมายเลยอัลบั้มที่เราเคยได้ยินหรือล่าสุดเนี่ยมิวสิกโปรดักชันทุกอย่างในโอลิมปิกที่เบจิงใช้ที่นี่
ก็ใช้ที่นี่อัดหมด
ใช้ระบบจากที่นี่ทั้งหมดเลย
ห้องเขานี่สังเกตได้นะคะว่าไฮซีลิ่งมากก็คือเพดานจะสูงแล้วเดี๋ยวจะพาไปดูกันว่าห้องคอนโทรลรูมหรือห้องต่างๆเป็นยังไงกันบ้างค่ะไปชมกันค่ะค่ะตอนนี้เราก็อยู่ที่ Abbey Road Studio นะคะที่ Abbey Road ลอนดอนอังกฤษใช่ไหมคะแต่ว่าตอนนี้เรานั่งอยู่กับ Mr. Chris Craker นะคะ Welcome Mr. Chris Craker Hi nice to meet you Alright and can you introduce yourself
Sure my name's Chris Craker I'm the former General Manager and Senior Vice President of Sony BMG International and I'm a record producer and General Record Company Executive
Oh wow okay so can you tell us a little bit about Abbey Road Studio here
Sure This is the first historic high-quality recording studio in Britain, and it was built in the 1830s but converted into a recording studio in the 1930s. And it's owned by EMI. And many of the most historic and the most famous and the most successful records of all time have been made in this building.
So as who?
Well, obviously the famous ones are the ones made between 1962 and 1970 by the Beatles, but the legendary album Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd was also made here, and there are countless others. Really the first most famous single that was made here and was the start of rock and roll in Europe was by Cliff Richards, a song called Move It, and that was the first time that a British singer had kind of ventured into rock and roll. A little along the lines of Elvis Presley, and that record was made here, and it kicked the whole thing off here from 1958. And since that time, it's been a hotbed of creativity and success.
And can we say the Beatles sit here before?
The Beatles sat here.
Okay.
They made most of their hits in this room.
Okay.
So they've been hanging out here before, yeah?
All the time.
All the time. Wow.
They spent about 8 years solidly here, recording in and out all of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there any room here that they can just crash in, or
Yeah, there are various rooms, and actually the studio's own place next door.
Okay.
So sometimes people crash there as well. But often you'll have seen a Beatle asleep on this settee.
Really? That's basically normal, yeah?
Yeah, because you're working really, really long hours when you're making an album. Yeah. And actually the Beatles were very fast at what they did. Sometimes they'd record, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs in a day. And nowadays, as you know, it might take 6 to 8 weeks to make an album,
right,
or longer in some cases. Yeah. So they were very prolific, they worked very, very hard, and it was pretty intense.
Wow. So you've worked in Bangkok too, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've seen all the work in Bangkok, in the studios in Bangkok as well. So can you tell us what are the differences between working here and working over there in Thailand?
Okay. I think what makes this place very special, one is the history. The minute you walk through the door, there's a special atmosphere because of what's happened here. It's Beatles, it's Pink Floyd, it's Radiohead, it's the London Symphony Orchestra doing the score for Star Wars. It's all of those things have all happened in here. So one, it's the atmosphere and the history that really special things have happened here. Two, the technical side of everything here, the equipment is all the best in the world. And it's maintained to an incredibly high standard. There are guys here that look after the microphones. They've been here for 30 years, these guys. They know every last detail about every piece of equipment here. So that's a very unique and special thing, to have the technical support for every piece of equipment here from the 50s. And many of the things have been here that long as well. There's all the new state-of-the-art digital gear as well, but there's so much historic valve equipment and wonderful stuff from the 50s and 60s and 70s that needs tender loving care and maintenance.
And they
so
know
that's
all of that.
Yeah, these guys have that special expertise, and that's very rare. It's quite hard to replicate that in New York or Bangkok or Los Angeles or anywhere else. It's quite unique to here, and there are one or two key individuals that have been here for decades that have that history and that knowledge. Also, what's different here from studios in Bangkok or in many other cities in the world is the shape and the size of the live rooms. You have in Studio 2, where we are right now with the Beatles.
This is huge,
This is big, this is not the biggest. The biggest studio is next door, Studio 1, in which you can get a 130-piece orchestra, a choir, a rock band, all at the same time. And so that's where the big film scores are made, and it's largely used for film now, that room. But as you see here, this is the middle-sized one, and it's huge. You can get maybe 80 players in here as well.
This is like a warehouse.
I've done big orchestral recordings in here as well, but it's wonderful to have this amount of space to do a rock album as well, because when you hit a drum, the acoustic in which it sounds is special, and it's impossible to replicate that anywhere else.
Is it important to have high ceiling like this too?
Yeah. The height of the ceilings is important. The shape of the room, the covering on the walls, everything about it contributes to how the acoustic of the room will sound. And you'll see that in this room, nothing much has changed since the late 50s. The decor, the drapes are all almost identical to what was here 50 years ago.
They keep them like that?
Yeah, and there have been a number of people who have said, oh, we could improve it, or we could do this and that. But actually I really admire the management here for keeping things in the live room exactly as they were in the early 60s. It's special, it sounds fantastic, and it's impossible to replicate anywhere else.
Okay.
I heard about you have a new project in studio in Bangkok, not Bangkok, in Thailand.
Near to Bangkok, yeah. I'm building a studio right now in Bang Saray in Chonburi province, about an hour and 20 minutes south of Bangkok. And much of the inspiration has been gained from this building, and our control room is a little larger than this one. It's more like the one in Studio 3, and it's going to be very state-of-the-art and very much of the same equipment as well, which I'm very excited about. And we also have a very high-ceilinged live room as well, which is going to be great. So,
what is it going to be called?
We're just toying with names at the moment. Probably it's going to be called Instant Karma Studios, and the song Instant Karma was a famous John Lennon song that the Beatles performed.
So you're inspired from that.
Yeah, a little bit, and I like to bring some of the history from London to my new life in Thailand.
Wow, it's going to be good. Yeah.
It really is.
So
and we're going to be bringing some great British people out to work in the studio as technicians, but we're also going to be working with some of the best Thai people as well.
So you expect it to be done at the end of the year? Or?
Yeah, we should be completed by the end of December, and we hope to be opening in February. I'm going to use January for test recordings and trying everything out.
Can we see that when you're opening?
Absolutely. Calm
Okay.
down.
We'll
You're
go,
coming to the
definitely.
opening. You're coming to the opening.
I'll see you again in
Okay.
Thailand.
You certainly will.
Yeah, so แล้วนั่นก็คือข้อมูลต่างๆเกี่ยวกับ Abbey Road Studio แห่งนี้นะคะจาก Mr. Chris Cracker นะคะก็แต่อย่างที่เขาบอกค่ะเขามีสตูดิโอที่บางเสร่เดี๋ยวเราจะตามไปดูกันที่เมืองไทยแต่ว่าต้องรอให้สร้างเสร็จก่อนค่ะแต่ว่าตอนนี้ก็ต้องขอบคุณ Mr. Chris Cracker ตอนนี้นะคะก็ thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
you know talking to us
My pleasure.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm an engineer at Abbey Road Studio. This is Studio 2. This is the control room that George Martin, who produced the Beatles, worked from. The Beatles were recorded in Studio 2 in the live room. The room has changed a lot over the last 50 years. It's a lot bigger, but we still have some of the old equipment. We have some of the vintage equipment down here from the 50s. We have compressors that John Lennon's vocals would have gone through. EQs, which they would have used for the mix and for recording. Over here we have new modern stuff. We have some of the latest gear, some of the latest EQs. We have delays, reverb units, and then we have a Neve VRP desk, which is 68 channels. Paul McCartney has one of these in his own studio, and it's the Neve VRP. It's very good. We've got some of the state-of-the-art speakers for listening back, and we have a brilliant live room, which is one of the best in the world for drums and just a live atmosphere. It's cool. It's good. We can do Pro Tools, or we have 2-inch tape A820, which people like U2, Oasis, they will come in and want to track drums and stuff to this, which is it's really cool. It's a good sound. What should they do to be a successful sound engineer? I think one would be to record as many different bands as you can, different styles. Two would be to find the equipment that suits you, and to find good equipment where you can get a good sound. But nowadays you don't need this kind of stuff. It's good, it's really good to have this kind of stuff, but just record good bands and make sure that they can play tight as a unit, and just as long as they can capture the sound of the band, then that's the best thing. Definitely the best thing. Make a studio, learn things. Yeah, 3 would be learn things, read stuff from the internet and just learn what different producers are doing. But no producer or no engineer is exactly the same. Everyone's different, so it's all everyone's different, so there's no kind of straightforward way to do it. It's, just learn and just make sure things sound good. Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
ต้องมีการออดิชั่นต้องมีลายเส้นถึงจะมาเล่นในสถานีรถไฟใต้ดินของในอังกฤษได้
ตอน
อนนี้ผมก็ยังอยู่ใน British Museum นะครับในลอนดอนอังกฤษนะครับที่เห็นอยู่เนี่ยเป็น half นะครับของ Lady Purby นะครับหรือราชินีชับอัดไม่แน่ใจนะครับว่าออกเสียงเขาถูกหรือเปล่าซึ่งเก่ามากๆเลยนะครับสร้างตามประวัติเนี่ยสร้างขึ้นโดยชาวซูเมเรียนะครับ 2,600 ปีก่อนคริสตศักราชนะครับซึ่งขุดค้นพบเนี่ยจากหลุมฝังศพที่มีรหัสว่า PG 800นะครับวงเล็บว่า private grave นะครับในเมือง UR ซึ่งจริงๆตัวจริงๆที่ขุดขึ้นมาเนี่ยก็คือที่เหลือแต่ตอนะครับก็คือส่วนที่มีหัวลูกบิดสีทองและหินลายสีฟ้านะครับที่ใช้ตกแต่งเครื่องดนตรีนั้นแต่ตัวที่สมบูรณ์แบบที่อยู่ข้างๆเนี่ยเป็นตัวที่ถูกสร้างขึ้นมาใหม่นะครับจากเอกสารแล้วก็รูปภาพรูปร่างต่างๆที่มีแล้วก็ประดิษฐ์ขึ้นมาเป็น half 13 สายอย่างที่เห็นอยู่ในตอนนี้นะครับ